right, Jay, let's do this. Let's do this. It's go time. God, you're one lucky motherfucker. You get to do what you love for a living? You get to live your purpose? Don't ever take that for granted. Jay, just remember it's not about you today. It's not about you at all. This is about them. Let's go wake some people up. Let's go wake some people up. Are you ready? Are you ready to wake the fuck up?
So it's currently 6 in the morning. The only reason I'm awake right now is because I did make a choice to go fucking fight. Today's day one.
Welcome to Wake Up Wednesday. It is the 9th of April. I'm Jay Kubasek, your host here for today. So the theme of today's call, today's family meeting, where we all get around the fire and we share wisdom and knowledge, is the circadian rhythm. I want to introduce this as a concept to you. It's going to be an ongoing conversation that we'll be having over the coming weeks, months, and years. So, what is the circadian rhythm? In a nutshell, the circadian rhythm is the body's homeostasis process of managing the daytime and the nighttime. All species that exist on this planet, both plants, animals, and humans, or all three, we're governed either by the day or the night. We are daytime creatures or we're nocturnal, while humans happen to be optimized for sunlight. Our eyes are optimized for the daytime compared to, for example, an owl whose eyes are optimized for nighttime. Now, there are two primary hormones or chemicals that govern our daytime state and our nighttime state. The daytime state is governed by our good old friend cortisol, and our nighttime state is governed by our sweet friend melatonin. Now, these, in their natural forms, they exist in our bodies and they are produced and they are regulated in our bodies by the frequency of the light. So, for example, blue light triggers cortisol, red light triggers melatonin. Now, that's a super simplified description of what actually happens. So let me kind of walk you through on a 24-hour basis how this works. So around the mid-afternoon or so, as the sun starts to go down, depending on where you are in the world, the sun's rays begin shifting from blue to red frequency, red light. So the red frequency signals the body to stop producing cortisol, which is the daytime awake hormone, and to start producing melatonin. When nighttime comes, the cortisol production is hopefully completely turned off. Melatonin production is turned up. We fall asleep, we have a restful sleep, and around 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning or so, the melatonin production has completely stopped now, and the cortisol production has started. Now, if you've ever woken up with night terrors or nightmares like I have, for example, if you've ever been an insomniac, you know that when you wake up with that anxiety around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, it is impossible to go back to sleep. Well, that is because the cortisol production has kicked in so quick, so fast, so high, and chances are it hasn't even stopped being produced from the night before, that it wakes you up at 2, 3 in the morning. In reality, it should only gently start to be produced around 2 or 3 in the morning. And it should only wake you up when your body temperature bottoms out, which is about 90 minutes after your lowest heart rate. So that might all sound kind of complicated, but don't worry, we'll all have some beautiful visual diagrams to share with you here today as well. Now, the science behind this, I'm not going to cite all of my sources, but it's something that you can talk to ChatGPT about yourself, something that you can follow Andrew Huberman, who's my favorite modern day break it down science guy. But cortisol, again, is the big one, right? When we have too much cortisol in our body, it basically means that we have too much anxiety. Now, here's where things get really, really interesting. If we wake up with anxiety, we've got way too much cortisol. But it's a chicken and an egg sort of a scenario, okay? Just by reducing your cortisol doesn't mean that your problems in life go away, because your anxiety is tied to the things in life that you're anxious about. So it's a chicken and egg scenario where there's a cause and effect. Now, we can wait until our life is perfect for our cortisol levels to automatically come down. Or what we can do is learn to regulate our nervous system, which is this beautiful two-way street that we have where we can actually control through our physiology our physical state. So let me repeat that. We can actually control whether or not we're in that fight, flight, or freeze state from elevated cortisol. We can actually control that with things like breath work. And today I'm really, really excited to share with you, to bring to you as a special guest, one of the best breathwork facilitators on the planet. She's absolutely incredible. In fact, she changed my life when she introduced me to breathwork years ago, about 4 years ago. And I have to say, it absolutely changed my life. So just super quick to finish up the circadian rhythm, and we're going to transition to breathwork as a concept or as a topic and why we're teaching this. So before I finish my thoughts on the circadian rhythm, I'm not turning this into a science lesson, okay? I don't want you guys leaving this group thinking, oh, now this guy thinks he's Bill Nye, or Tyson, Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's a science freak. Look, what we do here at the Wake Up Co is we blend science and spirituality. We strip away the fluff and we bring you the stuff that actually works. So here's what you need to know. Your homeostasis, your body, which is the lowest level of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Homeostasis, your body. That is your most primal need. If that is not in order, nothing else in your life is a priority until that is in order. And I'm speaking from personal experience here. Because when your nervous system becomes so dysregulated like mine was, or I went into a functional freeze earlier this year, again, my body went into a functional freeze for almost 90 days. Last year it was 5 months. I've decided I'm putting a foundation in place and I'm going to rebuild my character, not just my character, but I'm going to rebuild my nervous system in a way that can never, ever, ever, it can never happen again. It physically can never happen again. And that is why I'm so motivated to teach this stuff to you guys. Because God forbid any of you go through what I went through. As an insomniac for years, throughout my entire childhood, it's been a pattern in my life that when I have anxiety, I can't sleep. So in the past, I've always turned to drugs, not recreational drugs. I've never been a big fan of them. I've always had pharmaceutical drugs and alcohol to knock me out. There was a 15-year period where I used alcohol to knock me out at night. But then what happens? You wake up with even more anxiety the next morning, because what alcohol does is it's ultimately a depressant. It's a sedative, but it's also a depressant. So it depresses your nervous system long term. So in the morning, about 90 minutes after the lowest body temperature, if you wear a Whoop or an Oura ring, you know what I'm talking about. You're probably already geeking out on this sort of stuff. About 90 minutes after that, you should wake up. Now, for me, that's between 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock in the morning, depending on how much sleep debt I have and what my travel schedule was, or really what's been going on in my life. So when you wake up, ideally you want to have your caffeine about 90 minutes after you wake up. Don't want to get that nervous system cranking too quick. You want to come awake. Now, I'm just going to also really, really quickly mention to plant a seed that our brain and our nervous system are connected. Our gut is the original brain. Okay, so the heart, basically your heart has its own little brain. Super cool stuff. Now let's talk about the brain really, really quickly for a second. There's alpha, beta, delta, theta brain waves. When you're coming awake in the morning, you're coming out of deep sleep, delta. You come into theta, which is REM sleep phase. REM sleep is the dream state. It's very, very important to get enough REM sleep. Now, the reason I said I get up between 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock is because I set my alarm, my Whoop, to wake me up when I've had enough REM sleep. So REM sleep is when your brain is defragging, like an old computer. Optimally, what you want to do when you first wake up, this is what I personally do. I have my headphones next to me in bed. I'm already wearing my running gear, my joggers, my leggings, which Steph hates. But I wear leggings and my running t-shirt. See here, I have it under here. I haven't gone for my morning run yet, but I put my running gear on as my base layer, and then I put my clothes on top, so that unconsciously I've already set the message that I'm going for a run. Okay, so today I'm going for a run at 1 o'clock. I don't like to run first thing in the morning because I like to use my run strategically to raise my energy, to clear my mind, to get inspired. And I'm clear, I'm inspired, I'm motivated first thing in the morning. So why would I do it first thing in the morning? So I have my headphones nearby. You pop them on. I pull open my YouTube. YouTube algorithm already knows it's morning. Jay's awake. He's going to want a meditation or a set of affirmations of some sort. So I put on some affirmations, usually Joe Dispenza, something. There's a million of them out there. Just Google or check the WhatsApp group. I usually post my favorite of the day. And put that on and kind of just drift back to sleep. So as my brain is waking up in the theta stage, is very impressionable. Okay, so that is the perfect time to passively take in affirmations, positive affirmations. Now, when you do this, it may not feel like it's working, number one. And number two, you're going to actually have resistance around doing it if you are not in a high vibrational state. So just realize that, and realize that it is normal and it is natural to have resistance around doing this in the first thing in the morning. Do it anyway, because you know the effect of it. So that's the first thing. Put on your affirmations first thing in the morning. Then what I do is I go straight into a breath work. I want to send a message to my unconscious that I'm in control, that my nervous system and my emotions, they're going to fluctuate wildly throughout the day. And yes, those feelings and emotions, they are mine, but they are not who I actually am. So I use my conscious mind to tell my unconscious mind who's in control. So by doing breath work, what you're doing is you're learning to activate, I'm going to plant two seeds here, the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. The sympathetic nervous system is your calm, relaxed state. The parasympathetic nervous system is the elevated, raised state, the fight, flight, or fawn, where you have higher levels of cortisol. So I typically go through a little breathwork practice which activates the parasympathetic and comes back to the sympathetic. It's called nervous system regulation. You can learn to regulate your emotional state with your breath. And that is what I'm going to introduce you to today with this amazing introduction to breathwork session that we have coming up here momentarily. So that was a mouthful, but I've planted some really, really important seeds that will ultimately bear fruit as you continue this journey to wake up every day inspired, motivated, and empowered, so that you can do something for someone every single day to make it the best day of their life. And ultimately, it is very selfish to do this because you're taking care of yourself first. But that is how you become a blessing in other people's lives. That is ultimately how you create a life that is higher vibration, which will naturally attract more of what you want in your life over time, including money. Trust me, the money will be there. We will talk about that next week. So again, to really, really quickly recap, your circadian rhythm is equivalent to the homeostasis state of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's governed by two hormones, cortisol and melatonin. One governs the day, one governs the night. Too much cortisol means you have too much stress in your life. Too much stress in your life elevates creates all sorts of other knock-on effects. Stress is ultimately the most toxic thing for your body. It is worse than not exercising. It is worse than not eating healthy. Stress is ultimately what gives you cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and all sorts of other metabolic diseases. So the circadian rhythm, you're going to learn to optimize it. It starts with optimizing your sleep. We're going to have sleep as a separate topic in our community, in our members area once we launch that. But optimizing your sleep really is the foundation that you build everything off of. Because if you don't wake up with enough sleep, with a fully rested body, you can't use none of these other building blocks will compensate for lack of good sleep. So thanks again for joining us here today. Enjoy the rest of the call, and I'll see you guys soon. Cheers.
In my mind, I was thinking, it's a retreat, but more like a yoga type of retreat, because I've kind of seen what yoga retreats are like, relaxation, do a bit of yoga, things like that. But when I got here, the experience was so deep.
I just feel like to share that is for other people to see what is possible and to connect with people.
This is a rewilding experience. And it's my intention to become more like that sloth.
in the sense that I would never have given this testimonial and know that, yes, there is a camera watching a week ago. I have gone through a great deal of trauma in my life where I couldn't leave the house. I wasn't able to make a phone call. I've been really within myself and made to feel like I wasn't important, I shouldn't be heard.
Society thinks we're all fucking nuts. Mass media and mass society is very resistant to people thinking outside of the box and being awake. Because there's no fucking money can be made in transformation.